Oh, not. Yay. Well done. So thank you to Marianne. Thank you to Christian for helping with that. And Christian's been a great help with everything as well. Let's just start this meeting. Let's get on with it. Mr. Sergeant at Arms.
Well, welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be current or a former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 speeches from either the traditional or Pathways program, or you must have substantial relevant presentation experience that you demonstrate in 3 to 5 minute speech delivered during one of our meetings. All requests for membership are subject to board's approval. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and role if you have one. Right-click and select Rename to do so. We have members and often guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, other professional organizations will ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording this meeting. Your video audio contribution may be used for our club marketing purposes. Please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Also, please avoid using chat during speakers' presentations. And today's theme of the evening is Christmas crackers. Please welcome our club president, Nick Lahane.
Thank you very much, Andre. Welcome to all our members and guests. We have a lot to pack in today. So all I want to say is we had a wonderful time. Thank you to Lois and Christian. Without you, this event wouldn't have happened. Then to talk about the event, I'd like to introduce my very, very wonderful co-chair, co-conference chair, Lois Margolin.
Thank you, Nick. So if you missed this weekend, you really did miss something special. One of the things that I learned during this entire event was how incredibly creative and invested online presenters is. Just looking at this group, we had 10 people that were actively engaged in this conference. Now, we only have 35 people on, so you do the math. That's a pretty good percentage. And on top of that, we had 11 contestants in table topics and 11 contestants in evaluation. And we took first place, yay, Roxanne, in table topics. And I think, Angela, you were table topics number 2, right? Didn't you come in second? And Christian, you came in first in evaluations. And I don't remember who else came in second and third because it wasn't my club, but you guys just rocked it. And then we had team leads. We had David, we had Pamela, we had Lucas, we had Carol Perhinsky. Lucas was our chief judge. Carol was our contest master who had to learn all those international names. God bless her. She had them recorded so she could listen to them all night. I think it was osmosis. We had people that stepped up to the plate to do the program, to do the video. It was so heartwarming to see all of us come together And it was amazing. So Nick, are we talking about 21 now, or we're not going to let anybody know about that yet? I wasn't sure. I texted
No,
you.
best keep it under wraps for now, because
Okay,
we
so
shouldn't
we
talk
won't
about
tell you.
June the 19th or 20th.
Yeah, we won't tell you that we'll be looking for volunteers, that we're already tagging people, and that we have your number, but mum's the word. Back to you, Nick.
Thank you very much, Lois. Now, I would like to introduce a very special person. She's a member of our club since, I believe, January of this year. And what a 2020 she's had, personally, but also about the impact she has in the club. I'd like to give a very warm welcome for a special thing that she's actually decided to do, and we're happy for her to do this. Please welcome our secretary, Emily Thompson.
Thank you, Nick. We're about to close out our current year and start a new year, and we need to settle our accounts. We have an account, a debt of gratitude that we need to offer to the online presenters, movers and shakers, who took us from January through June of 2020, and through their dedication, taught us how to use Zoom and best practices for online meetings. The top award goes to Lois Margolin. She's receiving the Club President Award and plaque for her dedicated leadership and for introducing 150 people at every meeting in March and April and so on. Next, we have 3 support awards in the form of certificates going to 3 members who went above and beyond. They include Nick Lacani, Christian Ramchern, and also David Carr. They gave unstintingly of their time to any club or member or district that needed help, and they've been instrumental in helping us traverse the gap from where we were to where we need to get to. We next have 3 pivotal support awards in the form of certificates, going to members who provided support that allowed us to pivot from being a medium-sized club to an enormous online club as the pandemic raged on. And these awards go to Lois Margolin, Roger Fung, and also John Quick. And we're so proud of all of them for all their leadership, for always being there as a Toastmaster, friendly faces, friendly smiles. We also had club members who were always there to support the people supporting the clubs. And this pivotal support to a club award goes to our own Jim Barber for always being there, always taking roles, always mentoring and being a fine leader. We have the online demo meeting award in the form of certificates going to 2 members who were there when we were giving our demonstration meetings. And they include Monica Tucker and also Jim Dent. I didn't have a picture for Jim Dent, sorry. And they were instrumental in helping the club accomplish its goal of helping everyone move to Zoom. Next, we have 2 tech support awards in the form of certificate going to members who certainly deserve it. And this includes Elaine Nieberding, who would induct you as a member and then give you a half-hour tour on Zoom, making sure you looked your best. And Lou Brown, who opened up every meeting as Sergeant at Arms with calm, precise instructions for how to mute and unmute, as you know, required for Zoom. We have the Club Visitation Award, and this is going to David Carr, that overachiever. This is his 2nd award for visiting clubs on his own time to help other clubs move to Zoom. And then finally, we have the Innovative Public Relations Award going to someone who still put out club newsletters, and it was the pandemic. And this goes to Jacinta Watkins LaMontagne. Because this is Toastmasters, it's time to give a brief toast. I forgot to tell you, but if you have a mug, I'd like to toast to all those who have brought us from where we were, which is brick and mortar clubs, to where we needed to go, which is in a room that is a Zoom room full of friends. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Emily. What a great idea. And I'm so happy that you've done that. I'm so happy we could honor and recognize our members of our board from last year and also others in the club as well. So thank you so much. And this is one of the things that next year's conference or the convention is going to be about, to honor many more people. We don't know how many there are, but we're going to try and honor everybody in a way that would be meaningful to them. Thank you very much, Emily, and thank you all of those wonderful people. Now, I'd like to start the show. Please welcome our Toastmaster of the Day from Manchester, England, just up the road from me, our very own Andrei Smolenko.
Hey, well, thank you very much, Nick. Good evening, fellow online presenters, Toastmasters, and guests. I'm your Toastmasters of the evening, and my role, just first, to crack some jokes, to just do nothing and let the rest of my crew to do the hard work. So I'm just going to sit down and relax. Before I do that, I'm going to tell you what is going to happen today during the meeting. After my short speech and introduction, we'll be doing three excellent speeches. After those speeches, we'll have table topics or impromptu speaking competition as well. You'll get a chance to choose the best table topic speaker. And then we'll get 3 brilliant, cracking evaluators from our online presenters club. And following, general evaluator report. Ooh, scary and spooky and exciting at the same time. And wrapping up all of that, right in the end of the meeting, we'll pass it back on to our club presidents for new announcements. The theme of the evening today is cracking jokes, or Christmas crackers. Just to give you an example of one of the Christmas cracking jokes is, why don't you ever see Father Christmas in hospital? Because he has private health care. I'll get you more of those Christmas cracking jokes during the evening. So stay tuned and stay cracking. I'm not going to crack jokes by myself. I have a bunch of helpers. And let me introduce them to you. The first helper I'm going to bring you all to crack some jokes is our timer, Lucas Calafel.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. My job as timer is to ensure that our timers are aware of how far along they are in their speeches. We have 3 prepared speeches, one of which is an 8 to 10 minute speech. At 8 minutes, I will show the green card, 9 minutes yellow, and 10 minutes red. The remaining 2 speeches are 5 to 7 minutes, in which I will show the green light at 5, yellow light at 6, red light at 7. For table topics, it'll be green at 1 minute, yellow at 1 minute and a half, and red at 2 minutes. And finally, for evaluations, it will be green at 2 minutes, yellow at 2 minutes and a half, and red at 3 minutes. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Lucas. What a cracking timer's introduction that was. The next helper I'm going to bring to the evening is our counter, is Jeanette Francois.
Yes.
Jeanette, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. My role today is to note any overused words or filler sounds, such as your and, but, so, all those words. And they're used as scratch words, but by anyone who speaks during the meeting. And at the end of the meeting, I will give my report. So back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Madam Accountant. Now we know what you're going to do today. The next helper I'm going to bring to the meeting is our watcher, Monica Tucker, DTM.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As watcher, I will be watching all of your screens to see all of the Christmas activities going on and some of the other screens. I will report back when I'm called upon. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Monica. Short and concise. This is exactly what we like at Online Presenters. Short, powerful introductions to important roles. And the other important role we have in our club is exquisite chat monitor, Natasha Wanelson.
Hello, online presenters and guests. My role this evening is to monitor you from behind the scenes. I'm ensuring that you are nice to each other as you chat. I am also looking for memorable moments and humorous chats, and I will give you a highlight at the end of the best chats located in the monitor area as your monitor. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Well, thank you very much, Natasha. What an excellent introduction to chat monitor role. Very important in online presenters. And the last but not the least, very important person to help us run the meeting smoothly is our vote counter, Alizine Warren Russell. Please, Alizine.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to collect your cracking votes today. So hit me up on the chat and I will count your votes and give a report at the end of the day. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I've introduced all the helpers who is going to do all the hard work, and I'm going to relax, as I told you before, and crack some jokes. And one of them is coming up. What do you call a depressed coffee? Depresso. You didn't expect that one, did you? And we move into the next exciting part of the evening, prepared speeches. And the first speaker will be delivering his speech, which will last up to 10 minutes. So please, our time monitor, note that the green will be at 8 minutes, yellow light at 9, and the red at 10. The first speaker I'm going to introduce is Brian David Crawford, DTM. And every year, BDC, as he calls himself, reads How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Can he do it in only 10 minutes? Brian David Crawford, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Brian David Crawford.
Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one knows quite the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed on just right. Could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all might have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his head or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown as the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. They're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow's Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, 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 noise. It's the one thing he hated. The noise, 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 noise. Then the Who, the young and the old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing, they'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this whole Christmas thing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it. Now I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what I'll do. The Grinch laughed in his throat. He made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy treat. With this coat and the hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer were scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called on his dog Max. Then he took out some red thread. He tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, giddy up! And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number one, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. He climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. He slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck out his head of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. He stuffed them in bags, and the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimbley. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, the Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. They stuffed the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I'll stuff up the tree. As the Grinch grabbed the tree, he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a line. He thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on the tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there and I'll bring it back here. His fib fooled the child, and he patted her head, got her a drink, and sent her back to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went up the chimney and stuffed the tree up. So the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, that old liar. On the walls he left nothing but books and some wire. And one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for others Who's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled, packed it up with the presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel and the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I'll know what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a moment or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's the noise, grinned the Grinch, that I must simply hear. So he paused. The Grinch put his hand to his ear. He did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low and started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. It hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other it came, just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons and came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. Well, what happened then? In Whoville, they'd say, the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.
Right, well, thank you very much, PDC. I think it was well done. And there's some of the moments where I was really into it. And some of the moments of your speech, it reminded me about Christmas cracker. How does Darth Vader enjoy his Christmas turkey? On the dark side. Right, well, thank you for that, BDC. And we're moving on to our second prepared speaker for today. Our second speaker for today is Lieceng Zhu. Lieceng Zhu doing level 1 mastering fundamentals from presentation mastery. Her speech is entitled A Few Little Things About COVID-19. To stay safe, we need to pay attention to those little things in our daily life. Lieceng Zhu, A Few Little Things About COVID-19.
Thank you, Lucas. COVID-19. We are so tired of it, but the virus is tireless. As we speak, it's raging in every corner of the earth. With each and every minute passing by, it claims 5 to 10 lives. And the situation is only getting worse in this holiday season. To date, we have known a lot about this virus, but there's still a lot more we need to know, especially those little things. First, I want to say COVID-19 is a serious issue, mainly for the people in Main Street, the 99%. If you are one of those powerful, resourceful people who can afford a medical team attend you 24/7, you probably don't need to worry about it. You probably can have fun all you want. And yeah, you can get contracted, but you'll be treated in the best hospital by the best doctors, and you will recover. And with some luck, you might even feel 20 years younger. But for most of us common folks, the sad reality is that if we get infected, we are going to end up in one of those makeshift hospitals and share a ventilator with probably 3 other patients. Chances are we're not going to feel 20 years younger if we recover at all. That said, the best line for us to defend ourselves against COVID-19 is still not to catch it. To that end, we really need to be very careful and pay extra attention to those little things in our daily life. During this whole summer, I have been wondering if mosquitoes transmit the virus to humans. It's turned out that mosquitoes are innocent in COVID-19 cases, though they are notorious in transmitting several deadly viruses like West Nile virus, for example. There are at least 2 studies point out that the COVID-19 cannot infect mosquitoes, therefore cannot transmit from one human to another via mosquito biting. That's really good news given how populated mosquitoes are around us during summertime. I also wondered, can we get virus from our food, from what we eat daily? That's a little bit complicated. COVID-19 is not foodborne virus. That means if that get into our digestive system, it will be destroyed by the acidic environment in our guts. But the virus can stay on the surface of our food for some time. That's why we should be very careful in cleaning and washing our food and cook them thoroughly into right temperature to destroy the virus. What about the food? In restaurant? Most likely they are fine, especially the ones are cooked and they are hot. But to be safe, I would suggest that once you order your food, take it home if you can and microwave it or process it with ovens, just to make sure you're on the safe side. Travel. Sometimes we just have to travel and we have to stay in a hotel. Can we stay in a hotel and be safe? Absolutely. If we follow certain practices. First, we need to find a hotel that have the highest standard of cleanliness and book a room with patio open to outside, which allow fresh air coming and the virus going out. Clean every surface you are going to touch, even though you feel they might be clean. And then one more thing, bring your own pillowcase, bed sheet, bed cover. I know it's a lot to bring and it sometimes can be hard to do, but it's doable. And we did all those during a recent trip. That really not only keep us away from virus, but also give me peace in my mind. To summarize, in our fight against COVID-19, the small things matters. I know it's not easy and it's no fun to wash our hand over and over again and wear a mask wherever we go. But doing so save lives and our lives matter. Back to you, Toastmaster Day.
Thank you very much, Lieceng Zhu. What a valuable list of things we could all do to save ourselves from a virus. And the third speaker of the evening is Rosena Duncanson, with her prepared speech entitled Women in the Mirror, Rosena doing her presentation Mastery Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals from the Pathways program, Evaluation and Feedback. This is her first speech. Rosena Duncanson, Women in the Mirror.
Famous pop singer Michael Jackson said, "I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his way, and no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change." Toastmasters and guests, COVID-19 caused just that. This woman had to take a look in the mirror. I looked into the mirror and 3 big things popped out at me: creative, adjustment, adaptation. You see, CA squared was what I had to do when I took a look in the mirror. Creative. I was forced to work from home, not by choice, not as an option, because I had to. COVID-19 forced me to have to stay home and work, and I had to be creative. I'm accustomed to going into the office every day to work. A desk, a monitor, coffee, tea, you name it, I had it. But I had to be creative. I had to transform my bedroom into my office, into my lunchroom, and into a place where I sleep all at the same time, making those spaces separate, but yet equal, because they all required equal amount of attention. In addition to being creative with my workspace, I also had to be creative with my mind. There was lots I needed to do to make sure that I was able to stay sane. And so what I did to be creative was I started an Instagram account. That's right. Someone like me who did not know the first thing about social media decided to go on Instagram and encourage someone else. I decided to do creative posts every so often to encourage myself and to encourage someone else. And believe it or not, people actually liked it. I mean, no, I'm not an influencer. I don't have, thousands of people following me. But to me, a change starts with just one person. So if my creativity can touch just one person, I have done my job. The next thing was adjusting. You see, my Toastmasters experience started off inside a Toastmasters club that was in person. I went to a meeting, I got in front of a lectern, and I presented. I got instant feedback from smiles and laughters and other heckling expressions. That was why I was able to express myself, feeding off of the audience. I had to adjust. I was a contestant in the district competition, and they told me there was no traveling to Florida this year. I had to transition from being an in-person presenter to an online presenter before joining this club. And I am so grateful for Lois Margolin, who at the time was the contest master. I had no idea how I was going to adjust from being able to present in person to presenting online, because it was not the same thing. It is so difficult to present to a screen where people are looking at me, but I can't see them. And so the feedback was hard. But Lois said to me, practice, just keep practicing, do it over and over again. And sure enough, I came second in a virtual contest that I'd never done before. And so I had to adjust. So being creative and adjusting was just half of it. I now had to adapt. My entire personal life as I knew it was no longer the same. Believe it or not, they closed our restaurants. In my country, I could not go into a restaurant and sit down anymore and have a nice meal. Could you believe it? They forced me to eat takeout. I can do curbside pickup. I can do drive-through pickup, but I could not sit down in a restaurant. That required some adaptation, because how do you socialize and have fun if you can't go out? Believe it or not, we found a way to do Zoom meetings and Zoom socials It's amazing how much you can adapt if you really be open to it. Because we are humans, we have to stay connected some way. So I can't touch you and hug you, but I can still see you and talk to you. And thankfully, they have changed our restaurant option now to at least outdoor dining. Small numbers, but we got to start small. But again, adapting was so important. But each one of those transitions forced me to take a look at the woman in the mirror. Because each one of those, I had to change my creativity. I had to adjust, and I had to adapt. So Toastmasters and guests, I am telling each one of you this evening, take a look in the mirror. CA squared, be creative, adjust, and adapt. Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you very much, Rosena. Now, and with her speech, A Woman in the Mirror. Thank you. And we moving on to another exciting part of the evening. It's our timer report. Mr. Timer, would you say whether all the speakers are qualified for voting?
Yes, all speakers did qualify. I will put their individual times in the chat.
Oh, wonderful. So now we all get a chance to vote for the best speaker of the day. In order to do that, please send a message in the chat to our vote counter. You can easily do it by picking a vote counter on the bottom of your screen to the right. Pick the best speaker you think should win and send your message there. And we will announce the results of the votes in the end of the meeting. Then I know you're probably all looking forward to more cracking jokes from me. However, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a few of them in the chat, and then you can enjoy them all in one go. But for now, I'm going to pass this virtual stage to our table topics master, Saikishore Raju. Please take it away.
Hello everyone. Table topics, the session where everybody believes that the TTM asks questions that can't be answered. But my dear ladies and gentlemen, this is online presenters. And over here in table topics, your answers will never be questioned. With that, let me ask the first question and then pick someone. The first question is real. Santa Claus is real and he exists because ... Santa Claus is real and he exists because... For this, I would like to pick Toastmaster Marty Sandler.
Well, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, I have long felt that Santa Claus exists, and the reason I feel he exists is simply that in our universe, what exists is what we believe. Many, many, many people believe in Santa Claus. I know how hard it is sometimes to believe, but I, especially growing up in a house that did not observe Christmas for various reasons, I nevertheless had the pleasure of seeing Santa Claus in his various manifestations in many stores, in many buildings. Indeed, everywhere I looked, there was Santa Claus. So I am very certain that I was not looking at nothing. Therefore, since I know the truth, I have to say Santa Claus clearly exists because I say so. Table Topics Master, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Marty. As you say so. Here's the next question. Christmas holidays should be a month long because ... Christmas holidays should be a month long because, and for this one, I would like to pick Toastmaster David Carr.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. Christmas should be a month long, is that correct?
That is right, yeah.
Okay, yeah, Christmas should definitely be a month long. Definitely the period that it takes us to put up the tree and take down the tree needs to take at least a month. Because we're not organized about much of anything in my household lately. And I don't know whether lately is necessarily the term. It's just we're not so organized. And so my wife actually has been making Christmas ornaments. So I know that there will be, last year we didn't even get the tree up. It didn't happen. We didn't get that organized. And so we sat around our messy house and had whatever Christmas we wanted to have. But she's been making all these ornaments. She's got a fancy sewing machine that is kind of like a mini maker machine, and we've got dozens of ornaments. And we will have to put together the tree. The prefab Christmas tree will have to be erected, and I think it will take at least a month to make that happen. We will probably get the Christmas tree up. We'll get all the ornaments hung about January 25th. And so that's why, for me, Christmas needs to take at least a month. Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you so much for that, Toastmaster David Carr. From Christmas holidays, now we move into serious business. The next question is this one. On the day of Christmas, Jesus Christ calls you and gives you a wish. He gives you a boon. What would you ask for? On the day of Christmas, Jesus Christ calls you and gives you a boon. What would you ask for? And for this, the person I'm asking for the answer is one of our guests, Lieceng Zhu.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics. Fellow Toastmasters, if Jesus would give me a ball and ask me what I would like, my wish, I would ask, my wish would be just to have the courage and the confidence to go after my dreams, because sometimes it's really hard to just get myself motivated. Coming to Toastmasters was a big step for me. So I would ask him for more courage so I can do more scary things like this, like coming to Toastmasters and speaking in front of all these people smiling at me and knowing it's not as scary as I thought. So definitely more courage and confidence to go after my dreams. That's what I would ask him for. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Lieceng. That was really great. And the next question is simple, but it might require some kind of imagination and going back. The most memorable gift that I've received on Christmas is this. The most memorable gift that I've received on Christmas is, and this question goes to Toastmaster Andrew Byrne.
Thank you very much for that question. It puts me in a little bit of a dilemma since I don't celebrate Christmas and therefore I've never received a Christmas gift, although at places where I work, they do have the White Christmas gift-giving exchanges. And over the years, different Toastmasters clubs have had holiday get-together where they have White Christmas exchange of gifts. And so I've received gifts in that context. I think that if one goes back to the spiritual base of Christmas, what truly is important is family. What truly is important is one's love of family and one's love of each other. And the best gift that you can give to another individual is your love and care and support. that's how I would view Christmas right now. Christmas is pretty much, as your previous question talked about, has devolved into a free-for-all commercialization activity that lasts and lasts and lasts. Pretty soon, when we go out to the beach, we'll be seeing the Christmas lights and advertisements and realize that Christmas will be held year-round, not just for a month. So that's my thoughts about your question, Mr. Table Topics Master of the Day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Andrew Byrne. That was a different kind of insight. We started with Santa Claus, we moved towards a month-long Christmas holiday, and then we discussed about a boon from Christ. At the end, ended with a gift, with a Christmas gift. What more can we ask for a cracker of a table topic session? Thank you so much to all the participants. And now let me ask the timer if all the speeches have qualified.
Yes, all member speeches have qualified. I will put the individual times in the chat for our guest Lillian. You got at just 59 seconds, just to let you know for your knowledge.
Thank you so much, timer Lucas Kellefel. We have three members who participated: Toastmaster Marty Sandler, Toastmaster Andrew Byrne, and Toastmaster David Carr. Vote for your best, and with this, I pass on the control back to the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you so much.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the evening, Sai Kishore. And then again, from me, I wanted to sell you another Christmas cracker, but I already put them all in the chat. So enjoy those Christmas crackers there. And now, without any further delay, I'm quite excited to pass this meeting on to our General Evaluator. General Evaluator, Marianne Grady, take it away.
Why, good evening, everybody. As General Evaluator, it's my job to facilitate the evaluation portion of the meeting. I will introduce all the role players and in the end, give a report. We're going to move along quickly. We're a little short on time. So our first evaluator is Roxanne Hossein, and she is going to be evaluating BDC's interpretation of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Roxanne Hossein.
Thank you, General Evaluator. That rendition of that story, I am stealing it as my own. I'm going to deliver it to my beautiful grandson, and I'm gonna be the grandma favorite. You brought that story to life, BDC. I was on the side of the Grinch. I felt it for him when he had to suffer those annoying people who were singing. Your ability to take it from that joyful, what they were doing of the words that was, and then bring it round to how he felt it. You felt for him. Who wants to have to suffer that? And you kept that throughout. So you brought me on his side. You made me feel what he was feeling. And then when he saw all the who's standing at the bottom of the hill and he felt his heart expand, you broke my heart. You did a really wonderful job of it's so cliche, vocal variety. Yeah, you nailed it. But hey, you nailed it. So I want to let you know that. The telling of the story, this is a story you've told repeatedly in real life. Bringing it to a virtual scenario, that's a challenge. And what I'm going to say is, if you were telling me the story at home, or if I were hearing it on the radio, all I'd have is your voice, and you would have taken me on the journey with you. I would have been in Whoville. If you were live and I were a kid in the bed with you and snuggled under your arm and you had the book in front of me, I'd be looking at the book and following along as you're reading. And you gave me that experience by putting the book up there. What I would say is that at times I found the text of the book was competing with you for my attention. So there were times I was reading along rather than listening to your really cracker interpretation. And I preferred you to reading it myself, because you really brought it home for me. The other challenge I would give you, you really did take that variance in pitch when you were getting that joyful thing. The challenge I would give you is this, and I don't know if it's something you can do because it talks about modifying something that's natural to you. If I were to start my speech with a low tone that sits down here, when I then want to convey despondency or some other sad tone by going low and slow, it doesn't leave me enough room to go lower without losing strength. For you, it's the opposite. You tend to start high. So there wasn't enough range, I think, when you did go high to show excitement. You pulled it off, but the challenge would be that. Back to you. I'll put the rest in your written evaluation. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Well, next up, we have Lewis Brown, and he will be evaluating Lieceng Zhu's speech, A Few Little Things About COVID-19. Please welcome Lou Brown.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters guests, and especially Lieceng Zhu. Lieceng, you mentioned at one point in your speech, I think it was in the opening, COVID, we are tired of it. I will say, what are we about 9, 10 months? It feels like 10 years, but into this pandemic. And I have to say, although we may feel tired of it in some ways, and I'm sure many folks here, if not everybody, never tire of learning more about it. And of course, ways that will make us feel less fearful of it. This is very much a left-brain presentation. I enjoy it because I'm a left-brain person, but it is challenging in that way because as humans, we really engage more with speakers when they tell us something from a more emotional level. Let me share with you a few things that I really liked about your speech. You have a wonderful smile. You had that smile right from the get-go. I love it. Please keep that going. Also, great eye contact. You were looking right at me through that camera. I was able to connect with you and listen to your information accordingly. I like how you had your hand placement. It looked very medical to me, like you were a medical professional. If you were wearing a lab coat, I would have sworn that you probably were a doctor or a medical professional, and maybe you are, and I just don't know that. This is my first time evaluating you. I love how you had a very good, clear delineation of your speech components, the opening, the body, the closing. I would have liked to have heard you expand more on that opening and closing though, and I'm gonna get to that in a little bit. Couple of really good connection expressions. You mentioned the 99%. I would guess that everyone here is in the 99%, so we could really relate to you in that way. Couple things that I would like to see you do to take this speech to an even higher level. Your opening, as I mentioned before, COVID, we are tired of it. Not bad and true, but how about a stronger hook? A quote, a chart, a stat, a story. That will really make us connect with your speech even more. Great smile, as I mentioned. Facial expressions are also very important to increasing that engagement. Perhaps you could do something that will align with the severity of your subject matter. In other words, when you talk about something that is so easy to do, hey, all you got to do was wash your hands, folks. Or if you don't do this, you would be more susceptible to COVID. You know, just kind of line up your facial expressions that way. I think I also threw in a little vocal variety in that way, which also is another thing that perhaps you could do to make this even stronger. It'll tie to both your title as well. Something like a few little things about COVID could really save a lot of lives. Kind of a little play on words there. Also, I did note a little bit of rocking back and forth, forward to backward. Be careful of that. I sit in a chair, so that kind of prevents me from going too far back. Might be something you could consider. Otherwise, thank you very much for this speech because it is important information. It is timely information. Again, even though we're 10 months in, still very timely. And I like how you also presented it in an alleviating fashion so that we can feel less fearful. Thank you, Lieceng. I look forward to future speeches. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Well, I know it's hard to believe, but Lois Margolin had the energy to sign up as an evaluator tonight. And she will be evaluating Rosena Duncanson's speech, Woman in the Mirror. Lois Margolin, evaluating Rosena Duncanson.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, my fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and Rosena. I loved your speech. First of all, look at that background. Did she not do a great job picking a background? Now, I know a lot of us go out and we have the same old, but that background was chosen for this speech and it just made it that much stronger. You have a beautiful voice and you have a beautiful message. I enjoyed your speech. I liked hearing how you had to transition your world, how you had to do that infamous pivot and make things different. And we were heartbroken when we heard that you were doing so great in your brick and mortar club. And then you had to go to a contest where you heard, you're not going to see any faces. Now, I'm an interesting one to be evaluating you because I know what you were going through and it's not easy. Speaking to all monitors where they're all turned off is incredibly difficult. And I love the fact that you got a little more excited about it and then you talked about how you had to adapt. So all of your message was well done. You started an Instagram account. I'm going to find you on Instagram if I haven't already. And if you haven't found me, because I love Instagram, that's like my favorite. And lastly, I just want to say that I thought that your entire speech was really nicely done. So what could you do to make this a little bit stronger? So I have a couple of gifts for you. One, use your body, use your hands, use your motions. I think that you'll find you don't have to stay in that little seat right there. You can go ahead and make sure that, you know, you're moving around, you're kind of using the screen a little bit more. What I really want to challenge you on is your vocal variety, because this is how we know you. And your voice is absolutely beautiful. Don't get me wrong, okay? That is not my going there at all. But when you were talking about the restaurant and how devastated you were, devastated that you had to take takeout, you paused, which I liked, but you could have put some emotion in there. I had to take takeout. And let your whole body just drop, because we all know what you've been through and it's horrible. Let your shoulders slump. Let us see your emotions through your body, hear it through your voice. And lastly, I would take the song and I would make it your own. And that would be my challenge, because that was hard. I actually looked up the song and I would have, instead of trying to sing it, because I'm not a singer, I would have said something similar to this. I'm starting with that man in the mirror. I'm going to ask him to change his ways. Use your body language, use your vocal variety, and you could have ended it with, hey, I looked at that woman in the mirror and I did change my ways. What are you doing? Great speech. Looking forward to your next one. And back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you. Timer, have all of our evaluators qualified?
2 qualified, our first 2 qualified. Roxanne, just 8 seconds over.
Okay, so you can vote for Lou Brown or Lois Margolin. Please send a message to the vote counter, Elizanne Warren Russell, privately in chat. Next up, we have our grammarian, Sarah Idahan.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Tonight I was listening for how well we used the word. It was a kind of difficult word to kind of mix in to what we were doing, but the word was cracker. And I was also listening for maybe some words that meant a lot. And so I've taken note of those too as well. I noticed that 2 people used cracker in some form. It was Topics Master Raju and Roxanne Hussein in her table topics, in her evaluation. I also liked how Andrew Byrne, when he was asked a most memorable gift, used words like family, love of each other, and how we love, care, and support each other as being that most memorable gift. And for Lillian, who was our guest, for what she would ask for, she asked for something simple like courage. and that was going to put her to where she needed to be. So I like those words and how those were used. I would like to say we don't keep trying to use our word of the day, even if it's kind of difficult to mix in. And we're going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it until we get much, much better. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Back to you.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to ask the rest of the reporters to be extremely brief as we are very tight on time. Please welcome the watcher, DTM Monica Tucker.
Our screens tonight, we had several crackers that were exceptional crackers. They had some very good backgrounds with the Christmas scenes. Angela, she kept changing it up with her cookie scenes, making me hungry. So, I'm glad it's close to bedtime and I can't get the crackers. And everyone just be cognizant when you move around a lot. It can be distracting for the speakers, and just keep that in mind as you move around. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you. And now let's welcome Jeanette, our counter.
Yes, thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today we had a wonderful evening with the counting, and but I noticed like a few. I noted a few. Edris Smolenko. He did 5 to 6 crutch words. Brian David Crawford 2, Lieceng 1, and Roxanne 2, and Marianne 2. So that's what I counted for tonight. Back to you, Mrs. General Evaluator.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeanette. And we welcome now our chat monitor, DTM Natasha Van Allison.
Hello, everyone. Just to make this really short, I've given you a summary in the chat box. And if you could look at the bundle of joy, congratulations, Monica. I saw that, so that's good news. The Grinch could not steal Christmas in our hearts. And of course, our Toastmaster of the day and his wonderful, his crackers, his cracker jokes. Great job. Excellent job there. And finally, Marianne, I did agree with you with the use of the word gifts for recommendations. I really like that. And those were highlights, and that was my job, to monitor the highlights behind the scene. So the rest is on the summary chat box. And back to you, Marianne. I know we're stretched for time.
Thank you so much. And I would like to call now our vote counter, Elizanne Warren Russell, to let us know who came out on top.
I put it in the chat. So for our best speaker, we have BDC. And for our table topics, it was Andrew. And our best evaluator was Louis Mongolia. Back to you, Madam.
Wait, was that Lois Margolin or Louis Brown?
Louis, okay.
Somebody got married over the weekend.
Both of us, we both won, Lou.
Whichever one was in the
you can't tell them apart.
Hold a minute.
I think I have more hair. I could be wrong.
Lou, that most people just put Lou in there. So I'm not sure.
Lou, congratulations.
All righty. Now, this meeting was a cracker. Nick opened with lots of energy. Emily recognized some of our outstanding members. Andre added a lot of levity with his crackers for the evening. And BDC and Table Topics contributed to a very festive feel in this meeting. We had strong evaluations with actionable feedback. And I would like to just mention that if you are a role player, you should arrive between 7:15 and 7:30, so we are not searching for replacements. That would be really helpful. So thank you very much. Wonderful meeting. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Well, thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Well, I would say that's it for me. I really had fun, cracked some jokes, enjoyed the evening, listened to wonderful speeches, and now back to our club president, Nick Lahani.
Thank you very much, Lucas, Marianne, and all the role players, speakers, evaluators, etc. in the meeting. Fabulous meeting. And by the way, great job on the timing. I've actually got more time today. Well done. Thank you. We're ahead of the game. Now, we've got a couple of announcements, and then I'm going to talk to a couple of guests. Therefore, from Vice President Education, Christian, we have the next speechathon, not this month, but in January 2021. So that's January the 30th. This month, on the 28th of December, we'll have a special EOY event. What does EOY stand for? It's an end of year. Excellent. Now, this is going to be hosted by our very own Lois Margolin. I don't know who that is. And we will reschedule speakers for the start of January. So if you have signed up as a speaker, please sign up available slots in January or send a request to Christian. Watch out for the updated agenda by the end of the week, and please sign up for the roles. And the last point from Christian is, some of you have been Toastmasters of the meeting at our club meetings, and many of you are waiting to look, really looking forward to being that. You're invited to sign up for the role of Toastmaster for January 2021. They are available for you. Thank you very much, Christian. I'd just like to say hello to a couple of guests. So let's have a look and see. Is Michelle there? Okay, we'll come back to you in a minute, Michelle. Lillian. Hi, Lillian. What's your takeaway from today's meeting?
It was good just to see a well-run virtual meeting. I haven't attended a whole lot of the virtual meetings. My club didn't go fully virtual, so it was really nice to see the flow and really experienced. Toastmasters have a good meeting that flows and no serious technological issues. So I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, Lillian. Thank you for coming. Pleasure to have you. Let's say hello to Michelle.
Hello.
Hi, what's your takeaway from today's meeting?
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the conference as well. It was well run. It was just awesome. I'm excited about I'm glad I chose this club, and I'm just excited about the experience.
Fabulous. Thank you, Michelle. And again, thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure. Let's say hello to Marutesh. Marutesh, this is your second meeting, I believe, and I saw you on Saturday as well. Marutesh, what's your takeaway from this evening's meeting?
Yeah, it's a wonderful session. I had an experience like that. I am in some of the conference. My takeaway is the flow of every speakers, every role players. They presented well role. That presentation skills is my takeaway. Thank you. Over to the president.
Thank you, Marutesh. Thank you. Let's say hi to somebody we've said hello to at the beginning. Vicky, what's your takeaway today? What did you think about the meeting? Just unmute yourself. Yeah, Vicky Minor. Yeah. There you go.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
It was an excellently run meeting. And this is my second time, and I was there just briefly on Saturday. All I can say is, Nick and the group, sign me up, okay?
So Lou's got his hands full today. Thank you very much, Vicky. Lovely to see you again. Let's say a very brief hello to Dr. Michael, and Sarah and Psyche Shaw. So Dr. Michael.
Very brief.
Very
Hi, guys.
brief. Okay, thank you. And Psyche Shaw.
Hello.
There you go. And Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Great to see everybody.
Thank you. So all the members have spoken either before or at the end of the meeting, and our guests as well who remain. It falls on me at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to declare this meeting closed and welcome you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, 7:15 p.m. Eastern, next Monday night, the 14th.